We'll get to you shortly. Before we begin, I want to acknowledge and pay tribute to the fact that we are standing on the traditional territories of the peoples of Treaty 7, which include the Blackfoot Confederacy, comprised of the Siksika, the Piikani, and the Kainai First Nations, the Tsuut'ina First Nation, and the Stoney Nakoda, including the Chiniki, Bearspaw, and Goodstoney First Nations. And the city of Calgary is also home to the Métis Nation of Alberta, Districts 5 and 6. We're standing here on colonial genocidal state as it continues to support a settler colonial genocide happening in Palestine. And so we recognize that we are standing on that land that was taken from one people, and protesting in support of another people who are having their land taken from them. And it's an important thing to remember. I want to thank all of the volunteers and donors who make this event possible. This event is organized by Justice for Palestinians, an organization set up in 2009 to support the Palestinian liberation struggle and the call for boycott, divestment, and sanctions against the criminal apartheid Israeli state. Now I'd like to introduce Michelle Robinson, Satu Dene, sister and fellow activist who will offer a prayer and blessing to open this event. Please welcome Michelle Robinson, everybody.
Oki Naganago, Mekoche Chestakomaki, Dekots Nagotine Siku. I start by acknowledging the east, the sun coming up in the east, the south, the west, and the north, our four directions. I want to bring in my ancestors, your ancestors, to give us strength today, to help guide us in a good way. Today, out of all days, we must govern ourselves in the best way possible. And I ask for our ancestors to give us that strength and to honor them and all of those lives that have lost. We will honor you today. I acknowledge that over 1,200 people died in 24 hours because of the genocidal military-industrial complex killing people that should never be murdered. I cannot believe anybody would stand with them. For me, I can't imagine finding the right words to tell you. Your grief is something as Indigenous people. We have a very difficult time watching the genocide of your people. We at Aval would understand why you would come here, make treaty, and stay here with us to be safe. That was the point of treaty, was for you to come here and share this land equally with us. We're not going to say go home to you. The white people will, but we won't. So I want to honor that. I actually have a lot of pity for the white people, that they can't see how we can live equally in peace. I pity them that they can only see genocide and that they have to kill people in order for them to live somewhere. It doesn't have to be that way. I think that there was thousands of years of proof of that until Britain intervened, until the West intervened. Then, of course, then all of there has been is genocide. I can't call this a war, because when people have stones and the others have bombs, that's not a war. That's just oppression. To get back to my prayer, I want to acknowledge Grandfather Sun, Grandmother Moon, Mother Earth, those that fly, those that swim, the creepy crawlies, those that slither, the four-legged, the two-legged, those with disabilities. I want to acknowledge that we are going to conduct ourselves in the best way we can. You give us that strength. And when the police choose not to be kind to us, we still are kind to them despite everything they've done. I pray for that. I pray we all have that strength today out of all days. And lastly, I just pray for our grief, all of the collective grief around the world that everybody sees except a very small few of people who are funding to be paid there, who are funding our politicians to be where they are, to be barriers so that this genocide can continue. I pray for their souls and I hope they burn in hell. Thank you so much for having me.
I'd like to invite Kathy up to present Michelle with the tobacco as a gift and honoring for her presence. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle, for your words today. Your solidarity means so much to us.
When I'm gifted tobacco, I was praying with tobacco I already had. And I do that because that is the energy that we're going to give back to the earth in order for our safety to be today. I pray for all of us to be safe today. That's what's going into these prayers. So if you get a chance to talk to Indigenous people and you give them the gift of tobacco, of sage, of sweetgrass, of cedar, we always use that in the best way we can spiritually. This is an inclusive event.
All right, so our program for today, we're going to be speaking here for a little bit. We've got a few members of the community who are going to be saying a few words, and then we're going to do a march through the streets of Calgary together, calling for justice. I want to remind everyone to maintain a peaceful environment, focus on the cause that we're here for, avoid engaging in confrontation, certainly avoid giving those people over there any attention, and prioritize unity with the march. We'd like everyone to stay united with the march today. Remember that we're here to show solidarity for Palestine and to pressure our government, the city government, and the federal government to call for a ceasefire. To stay in the loop for JFP events, please continue to spread the message about these rallies to everyone that you know. We need to keep the momentum going. I know it's getting cold.